Well, here we go again, the musings of a woke Hebrew, just some things I've been thinking about. You know, I've been looking over the history of our people, our fathers before us, and how they've had interface with Yah, not really. How a few men, uh, an Enoch or a Noah or Abraham or Yitzhak or Yaakov or Yosef, Moshe or Dawood or Yahusha HaMashiach, how these men loved Yahuwah. These men walk with Yahuwah no matter the cost. And then I look at us, our fathers. And though we're called by the name Hebrew, though we're of the lineage of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov like our fathers, we profess a love for Yah that is non-existent. Our fathers never loved Yahuwah. Intrinsically, their desire was to pull away from him. That was true of the 10 sons of Jacob who took Joseph and threw him into a pit and then sold him to the Midianites and then went and lied to their father and said he was dead, which is nothing but a type and shadow of what our fathers did to Yahusha HaMashiach. We have never loved Yahuwah. We as a people have never fully given ourselves to Yahuwah Shabbat as lovers, as wives. We talk a good game. We're like a beautiful woman who says she loves you because you have pretty eyes and a pretty form and features. We go ahead and say, well, okay, we'll take you at face value. But the truth of the matter is our actions over all these generations speak a completely different thing. Your actions, the actions of our fathers and even up to this day actually say that we don't really have much regard for him at all. Our actions say that basically when the heat is on, when we're in dire straits, when we have no one else to turn to, when we're up against the wall, then we turn to Yahuwah. Then we become holy. Then we become righteous. Then we love the Lord with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. Not really. We're just trying to get out of our circumstance. And so we come to today where it was so bad. It was so bad that he had to allow us to be dispersed throughout the nations. It was so bad that he had to hide Jerusalem and allow Gentiles to destroy the holy city. It was so bad that he had to put us to death, that the house of Yasharal, even the name was not known. Psalm 83, forgot our name, our country. It was so bad that he had to kill us. We were so corrupt, so degenerate, so disingenuous. Oh, we love the Lord, but we kill the Messiah. We love the Lord, but we run after Baal. We love the Lord, but we run after Jesus and Ishtar. We love the Lord. We have never loved him. We haven't loved him in the day those 10 sons of Jacob betrayed their brother Joseph. We didn't love him when he brought us out of Egypt and out of the house of bondage. brought us into the wilderness, and all we did was bitch and moan and complain and betray him moment after moment after moment after moment. So much so that the 2 or 3 million people, or however many hundreds of thousands that went into the wilderness, only 2 of the original ones came out, Yeshua and Caleb. The rest had to be died in the wilderness. They were so disingenuous. Such hearts after Baal, such hearts after corruption and degeneracy and iniquity. But we talk a good game. So corrupt that even the blood of bull and goats and sheep after a while were not enough. But we love the Lord. We have never fully given ourselves to Yahuwah as a people. We have never done that. And that's the truth. We talk a good game, but our hearts are far from him. And so we come into the promised land. And as we were coming into the promised land, Yahuwah already knew our hearts weren't right. So Yeshua on the way out the door says, "As for me and my house, we will serve Yahuwah." Because he understood these people are not going to serve him. And so we turn back to him when calamity comes, when the inevitable hell comes, because we run after our idols, because we love this book, but not the God of the book. We love the book, but not the God and spirit of the book. We don't understand that Yahuwah is not a book. He's a living being, a spiritual being that gives us breath and life, but we don't love him. We love the book. Because see, we have no obligation to the book. We can read the book. We can manipulate the book. We can make the book say what we want it to say. We can look at the book and see it how we want to see it. But when we come to the fire that is Yahuwah Shabbaoth himself, we recoil. When we come to the fiery mountain, we all push back and say, "Moshe, you go tell us." And because of recalcitrance of our hearts, Yah had to set up prophets, and he had to set up high priests, and he had to set up kings, and he had to set up judges, and he had to set up men who would keep us on track during their lifetime. But as soon as they left, we would go back to our nature, which was idolatry. Beloved, we have never been in love with Yahuwah. We talk a good game, and so today we're coming back to consciousness, coming back to the realization that we are Hebrews, that we're the people of the Bible, and we are. But we don't understand. We're coming back to the same condition in which we were put to sleep. We're still dead in our sins and iniquities. We're still practicing the same idolatries that our fathers practiced. We're still, and then the bad part about it is we pretend that we love Yah. We don't love Yah. We love what's written in the book. We love the idea of retribution. We love the idea of him getting our enemies. We love the idea of being taken out of this hellish situation. But we don't love the God that will do this for us. The history of our people is that we do not love Yah. It's not what you say, it's what you do. And our actions, time and time and time and time again, that we do not love Yah. We will use him just like a man and a woman. I'll use her, but I'm not going to marry her. I will use her, but I don't love her. Or just like a woman, especially today, I'll use him for what I can get, but I don't love him. Well, we have a problem here because Yahuwah is not going for this faulty BS anymore. That's what none of you understand. You think, I'm awake now, I'll just keep the covenants and statutes and laws, and that'll be enough. That's not enough. He wants you to love him with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love him as Moshe loved him and gave everything that he had. Love him as Daud did and gave everything that he had in obedience. Love him as Yahushua HaMashiach, who gave everything in obedience. Because we still think that when it gets tough, I'll jump out. When he requires something of me that I'm uncomfortable with, I'm going to leave him. If he makes it soft and cushy and it all agrees with me, I'll stay with him. We're nothing but transactional. We're people that can be bought. You know the name for that. So if we're getting something out of it, we'll stay with him. But if he requires something difficult, he requires something uncomfortable, he requires some devotion on my part, oh no, now we got a problem. Listen, beloved, he's not going to make the same mistake that he's made again and again and again and again and again. What? Trusting us, taking us at our word, because he understands he cannot take us at our word. We're not a people who can be trusted. And so we come to today, and he imputes the blood of the Lamb into us. Why? Because if we begin to pray in unknown tongues, he will lead us to himself over time. He will take us through trials and hardships and heartache to try us and test us and to see what's in our hearts, whether we will love him or not. Like Messiah Yahushua says, if you love me, keep my words. Okay, he didn't say keep my commandments. He said that another place, but he said keep the word that I give you, the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach that I'm going to put inside of you. Keep it. Keep speaking the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach out of your mouth. And I'm going to try you, and I'm going to test you, and I'm going to bring you into confrontation with all of the iniquity and dog shit that's in you. And I'm going to cause you to challenge you to let those things go. And if you love me, you'll do it. And if you don't, you'll turn back like the rich young ruler. He was very sad because he had much wealth. So the wealth was more important. Family, we act like we loved Yahuwah Shabbat. We didn't love him. Our fathers didn't love him, and we don't love him. How can you love him whom you don't even know? You love a book and a concept that you have framed in your imagination about who he is and what he is, that he's really rosy-dozy and nice and all that. He's a consuming fire. And if you love him, you have to allow yourself to be consumed by that fire. You have to become the burnt offering. If you look at the structure of the temple, the altar of incense, you have to be turned from flesh to spirit. You have to become from material to spirit. You have to go from being flesh and blood to spirit to get into the Holy of Holies, to become his. His spirit must be in you, and you must be in his spirit. And that requires a death to all that you are, all that you think you are, and all that you want to be. You have to let go of everything to get him. If you love him, you will let go of everything. You will not put your hand to the plow and look back. He who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is not worthy of me. And so Messiah Yahushua, who was faithful to Yahuwah in all things, even unto death, false accusation, he who knew no sin became sin for us. In obedience to the Father, in the love of the Father. You cannot say you love him, but every time he asks something of you that's outside of your understanding, you intrinsically recoil and flee. You're not his. If you love him, he can take you to hell and back again and up and down and sideways. Yahuwah is not looking for a transactional people. He's already done that. What do I mean by transactional? Well, if I get something out of him, I'll stay with him. But if I'm not getting some benefit, some tangible benefit other than his own self, then I want nothing to do with him. Beloved, this is our nature. We are by nature transactional beings. We're trying to get Yah to do something so that then we will do something. He's not asking for that. He's asking for unconditional love, because you know what he's shown us? Unconditional love. And if we meet him at that place of unconditional love, which means obedience and devotion to him and him alone, whatever the cost, whatever the consequence, that's what he's looking for. A bride without spot, blemish, or any such thing, who's about him. Not about I, me, and my. And so you begin to pray in unknown tongues, which is the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. It is interface with him, and he will guide you to death. He will guide you to confront the iniquity that is in you, that is hindering you and keeping you from becoming a son of Yahuwah. He will cause you to come into conflict with those things that you think are so very important to you. And he always brings us to a place where we have to make a decision. Either I'm going to continue with Yahuwah by letting this go, or I'm going to turn away and preserve this thing. Whatever it is, it always has to be given up to him as a sacrifice and offering. And at the end of the day, our very lives have to become a sacrifice and offering to him. We have to become the burnt offering. We're always looking for substitutes and shortcuts that allow us to get something out of Yahuwah without giving him what he's due. And what he is due is all that you are, all that you will be. If I love him, because he clearly loves us, he who loved us and washed us from our sins in his own blood and made us kings and priests, to us who love him, who allow ourselves to be destroyed, who allow the loss of everything to follow him, because he becomes so valuable within the deep place of our being that you know it doesn't matter what's going on outside, even though, and don't get it twisted, what's going on outside is hurtful and hellish, but he's too good to let go of. And beloved, unfortunately, you people who are listening to me now, you're not there yet. You can be, but you have to be made to be. And of his fullness we have all received, and grace for grace. We need grace to be obedient. We need grace to believe. We need grace to endure. We need grace to desire. We can't even desire righteousness without the working of grace. And so all these disingenuous proclamations about how much you love the Lord, if you love me, keep my word. If you love me, hold the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach, unknown tongues, and you pray it continually, and he will take you to death. He will put to death the deeds of the flesh. He will put you to death, and then he will raise you by the same Spirit, the same word, the same blood. He will raise you again. You're no good to Yahuwah until you are dead. You're no good to Yahuwah until the resurrection and the life rises up in you and raises you back up to him. You're no good to him unless you are dead first, so that he can rebirth you after similitude of Yahuwah in righteousness and true holiness, to love unfeigned. And so like Peter, oh yeah, Lord, I'll follow you to death and wherever you're going. A couple hours later, denied him 3 times because he tried to do it in his own strength. Beloved, I'm not questioning your sincerity. I know you sincerely want Yah. But we have to sincerely want Yah the way he presents himself. Yahuwah is a spirit. And so we must have interface with him, spirit to spirit. And so he gives us the blood of the Lamb when we believe, and in that blood is his spirit speaking Torah, his spirit speaking and working in us salvation, righteousness, and shalom. But they can only come through death. And so we endure the sufferings of Messiah unto justification. We endure the realities of that. And no one can cheat that or lie about it. Either you went through it or you didn't. Either you've been justified by the Spirit and sufferings of Messiah Yahusha, or you have not. Beloved, this is the source of my strength and my confidence, and the source of my ministry here today is because I have endured the sufferings of Messiah ministered to me by the Spirit of Yahuwah. Ingenuousness. I didn't endure these sufferings by my own strength. He had to give me grace day after day after day after day after day, because I didn't even have strength to endure these things. But these things have become my strength. You have to die. You have to be hung on that tree. You have to be killed to the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, so that you only know good. If Yahushua HaMashiach took me and dropped me in the middle of the desert today, I would pray in unknown tongues, and he would lead me and guide me according to his will and purposes. See, we think his will and purposes always lead us to comfort. His will and purpose might be for me to die in the wilderness, but I am willing. And by praying in unknown tongues, he gives me strength and direction and purpose to die. Shaul died for his faith. Peter died for his faith. James died for his faith. Yohanan died for his faith. Messiah died for his faith. Daud gave everything he had for his faith. Moshe gave everything he had for his faith. Joseph gave everything he had for his faith. Are you getting a pattern here? Faith does not even begin until your heart has been broken and you're at the end of every resource that you have. And you begin to declare by his spirit, unknown tongues, the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach, that he lives inside of you, that he is working your salvation, righteousness, and shalom. You can't even have him until you come to the end of your every ability. That's love. I followed you to death. That's love. Not cheap words. Not conditional applause. Yeah, I'll serve him long as it's comfortable. Long as he does this or that. Long as I'm getting benefit. But what when he leads you into the wilderness and leaves you there? What if he takes away everything that you have and leaves you there? What if he never gives it back? He has loved us with an everlasting love. And by that everlasting love, he expects us to love him with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. Then we are the people of Yah. Then we are genuine. Beloved, we're just playing at this. The path to Yahuwah Shabbaoth is death on the tree. That's why Messiah said, you will drink the cup from which I drink. And so Peter did, and so John did, so Yohanan did, and Sefer did, Shaul did, Yahushua HaMashiach did, and we must. We must drink to the dregs. And it's sweet in our mouth. Oh yes, but it's bitter in our bellies. It's bitter in our bellies when it takes years and years and years and years and years. But we stay with him because he's that good. Beloved, he's not going for the okie doke again. He's not going to take 3 million people out to the wilderness so that 2 can come in. He's not going to do it. You're going to prove your love now before he ever moves us to step 2. And I, being rooted and grounded in love, might have power together with all the saints to grasp how high and long and wide and deep is the love of Yah that is in Messiah Yahusha, and to know that love that passes all understanding, that I might be filled with all the fullness of Yahuwah. And so he fills me with his love for what? To love him, to trust him, to obey him, to be devoted to him and him alone. I'm not married to Yah and then I have a girlfriend on the side. He is my Aleph and my Tav, my beginning and my end, my first and my last. And if it doesn't come to me out of praying in unknown tongues, I simply do without it until whatever needs to come comes. Everything that moves around me is by the praying in unknown tongues. The praying in unknown tongues, which is the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach and his kingdom power and glory and his salvation, righteousness, and shalom. That is my Aleph and my Tav, my beginning and my end, my first and my last. I don't need men. I don't need all these titles. I have him and he has me. And so you have to have him and he has to have you. If he does not have you and you alone, not you in some book, not you in some pastor, you in some organization, you in some requirement of money or whatever it is, whatever crap that you're trying to bring to him, it's got to be dead. It's got to be thrown away. You got to find your completeness in him alone. With what you have, want, or need, or without what you have, want, or need. Because that's no longer a prerequisite. The only prerequisite that you can have is him. If I have him, I'll be okay. And that's not something you say. It's something you live and become and evolve into. This is totally paradoxical to the human condition, that we find him as our completeness apart from food, drink, clothing, shelter, transportation, income, possessions, or anything else. Whatever has to be sacrificed, so it is sacrificed by the blood of the Lamb, by the word of our testimony, and loving not our life unto the death, because we have to die before we can be resurrected. Die to self, to the idol that we call I, me, and my, to that pride that is in us. Beloved, I love you, but you're not getting to Yahuwah without dying, and you cannot die without unknown tongues. And in humility, you accept the gift of unknown tongues, the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach, and you declare him continually, and he will take you to death, hell, and the grave, and then he will raise you up and seat you together with him in heavenly places. He will do this. This is not theory. It is my experience, and it's according to Torah. The Torah that lives in me and manifests in me and sustains me by the gift of unknown tongues over these 21 years. Beloved, I commend you to Yahuwah Shabbath and the word of his patience, which is able to build you up and give you an inheritance among those who are sanctified. He's going to challenge every idol that you have. And when push comes to shove, you better say, yes, Lord, take it. Otherwise, you're not worthy of him. I pray the best for you.